So I want to begin by first thanking you for something that I can never give back to you, and that is your time. So thank you. So we're going to take a little shift as to what we're going to discuss. And I want to start with, there are three things that are guaranteed in life. One, taxes, especially for our American brothers in the room, direct or indirect. Second is change. And the third is death. Now, funny enough, the three things that are guaranteed, all of us in the room resist in one form or the other. Out here. And then I want you to reflect for yourself. And I pray to God you're never in the position that I was in. But how would you respond or react? Whether it was you, or your loved ones, or anybody that you serve today in your respective companies. So as some of you mentioned, I was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo. I was raised in Belgium. I finished my schooling in Canada. I went to university in the United States and then worked as an investment banker for a couple years in New York before moving to Hong Kong in 1992. Our core business, as you mentioned, in terms of family, was initially to start in Eastern Europe, which is now Central Europe, in Hungary, as an importer and distributor and the family, and that if this were to happen, she had nothing to worry about. Everything was in place. So as I went through this, I started to obviously ask my oncologists, I said, what happened? How can a 35-year-old who has an annual screening, like most of us do, in January, with discipline, bloods, urine, stool, x-ray, ECG, the whole lot, right? How do we end up, how does a guy like that end up with 10 tumors? The largest one the size of a Rubik's Cube in my chest, a tennis ball in my neck, and 8 in my lungs. Like, how is this possible? And the answer was, we don't know. Basically telling me shit happens. Now, when you're type A, you run around. Would you be in position to invest and continue to invest if you just saw balance sheet to balance sheet? And that's what I was doing. I was assuming that if I was good one day, the other 364 were good to go. And then they started to ask further questions. They said, okay, let's go back to the basics. And the questions were, how do you eat? And that includes drinking. How do you, we go into relationships, right? So there are now, well, there's an applied universities here. So who is supporting him in that process? Of him really getting to know himself and what he really wants. And of course, I'm not saying that anybody will be able to get the answers, but at least start the process. And then, as he journeys, he will choose to have a partner. Is anybody training him to have an understanding of the masculine and the feminine? What it takes to have a relationship of communication, authenticity, and then eventually, he may become a parent. Does he have the training or the parenting coaching that will allow him to make choices that are in the best interest of his children and to lead his children? And the story goes on, right? So we've created this so that they make much better choices than I do in the relationships, in how they approach business, in how they approach life, and take it, at a different level. So I urge you to look at wealth in a more expansive manner, to include health and well-being, but not just physical health, not just having a medical insurance plan. Yes, they will, in the structure, there's understanding the genetic predisposition to disease. There's all the medical records being